Dark Brandon, apparently aware of the changing tides, recorded a speech on democracy today, an address to the nation with no shit, evil red floodlights behind him. Fantastic. Take it away.
My fellow Americans, please, if you have a seat, take it. I speak to you tonight from sacred ground in America.
God, he's old.
Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is where America made its Declaration of Independence to the world more than 2 centuries ago with an idea
he's dying.
Unique among nations. That in America,
these attempts on our democracy have left me scarred and deformed. Okay, the Empire music playing out as he announces. God, look at that with the Marines behind him too, silhouetted against the red floodlights. He looks fantastic. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the First Order aesthetics from the only Star Wars sequel that I saw, the first one. Yeah, man, I don't know.
America, we're all created equal. This is where the United States Constitution was written and debated. This is where we set in motion the most extraordinary experiment of self-government the world has ever known. With 3 simple words: we the people. We the people. These 2 documents and the ideas they embody, equality and democracy, are the rock upon which this nation is built. They're how we became the greatest nation on earth. They're why, for more than 2 centuries, America has been a beacon to the world. But as I stand here tonight, equality and democracy are under assault. We do ourselves no favor to pretend otherwise. So tonight, I've come to this place where it all began to speak as plainly as I can to the nation about the threats we face, about the power we have in our own hands to meet these threats, and about the incredible future that lies in front of us if only we choose it. We must never forget, we the people are the true heirs of the American experiment that began more than 2 centuries ago. We the people have burning inside of each of us the flame of liberty that was lit here at Independence Hall. A flame that lit our way through abolition, the Civil War, suffrage, the Great Depression, world wars, civil rights. That sacred flame still burns. Now in our time, as we build an America that is more prosperous, free, and just.
I know it's nowhere on the level of Republicans, but would you consider the tone of the speech nationalistic? Yeah, a little bit. But also, as the president, you kind of have to be nationalistic with your speeches because you are literally the head of state. It's kind of a precursor of the role, I think.
That is the work of my presidency.
Oh yeah, I will say, by the way, that there is a massive distinction between the kinds of nationalism that Trump promotes and the kind of nationalism that Biden is going for here, which is like, the flame of freedom burns within us. It led us through abolition and the civil rights movement. You know, again, obviously, is it like nationalistic? Is it an idealization of our history? Is this a shit-ass country? Yes, yes, and yes. However, there are worse types of nationalism.
A mission I believe in with my whole soul. But first, we must be honest with each other and with ourselves. Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
Hell yeah.
Now, I want to be very clear.
He's been watching Vaush videos.
Very clear
yes.
up front.
Resounding applause.
Not every Republican, not even the majority of Republicans are MAGA Republicans. Not every Republican embraces their extreme ideology. I know, because I've been able to work with these mainstream Republicans.
So this is a bit of dishonesty here that's also necessary. The goal here, so in terms of being politically effective, if he just flat out says all Republicans are bad, blah, blah, there's not much he can really do or move forward from. If he says instead, like, Republicans, you're not all so bad, it's just these crazies, the goal would be to create infighting and factionalism within the Republican Party. Obviously, the majority of Republicans are MAGA aligned. There aren't that many neocons left, so it's a rhetorically necessary device here. I would do the same thing, regardless of my actual beliefs. It seems like the only way you can really handle this kind of confrontation.
But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans.
See?
And that is a threat to this country. These are hard things. But I'm an American president, not a president of red America, blue America, but of all America. And I believe it's my duty, my duty to level with you, to tell the truth, no matter how difficult, no matter how painful. And here, in my view, is what is true. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people.
Hell yeah.
They refuse to accept the results of a free election. And they're working right now, as I speak, in state after state, to give power to decide elections in America to partisans and cronies, empowering election deniers to undermine democracy itself. MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards to an America where there is no right to choose, no right to privacy, no right to contraception, no right to marry who you love. They promote authoritarian leaders, and they fan the flames of political violence that are a threat to our personal rights.
This is genuinely insane. This is a ridiculously aggressive speech. It's like he's been bottling this up for his entire presidency. This isn't just like we have a problem, we have a disagreement. This is explicitly antagonistic.
To the pursuit of justice, to the rule of law, to the very soul of this country. They look at the mob that stormed the United States Capitol on January 6th, brutally attacking law enforcement, not as insurrectionists who placed a dagger at the throat of our democracy, but they look at them as patriots. And they see their MAGA failure to stop a peaceful transfer of power after the 2020 election as preparation for the 2022 and 2024 elections. They tried everything last time to nullify the votes of 81 million people. This time, they're determined to succeed in thwarting the will of the people. That's why respected conservatives like Federal Circuit Court Judge Michael Luttig has called Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans, quote, a clear and present danger to our democracy. But while the threat to American democracy is real, I want to say as clearly as we can, we are not powerless in the face of these threats. We are not bystanders in this ongoing attack on democracy. There are far more Americans from every background and belief who reject the extreme MAGA ideology than those that accept it. And folks, it's within our power, it's in our hands, yours and mine, to stop the assault on American democracy. I believe America is at an inflection point, one of those moments that determine the shape of everything that's to come after. And now, America must choose to move forward or to move backwards, to build a future or obsess about the past. to be a nation of hope and unity and optimism, or a nation of fear, division, and of darkness. MAGA Republicans have made their choice. They embrace anger.
You made your
They
choice,
thrive
Jack.
on chaos. They live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies. But together we can choose a different path. We can choose a better path forward to the future. A future of possibility, a future to build and dream and hope. And we're on that path moving ahead. I know this nation. I know you, the American people. I know your courage. I know your hearts. And I know our history. This is a nation that honors our Constitution. We do not reject it. This is a nation that believes in the rule of law. We do not repudiate it. This is a nation that respects free and fair elections. We honor the will of the people. We do not deny it. And this is a nation that rejects violence as a political tool. We do not encourage violence. We are still an America that believes in honesty and decency and respect for others.
He disavows.
Patriotism, liberty, justice for all, hope, possibilities. We are still, at our core, a democracy. And yet, history tells us that blind loyalty to a single leader and a willingness to engage in political violence is fatal to democracy. For a long time, we've told ourselves that American democracy is guaranteed.
Oh, shit. Is he about to call out the end of history bullshit? The liberals' smug assumption that everything will work out? Oh, fuck. He's getting to the core of it.
It's not. We have to defend it, protect it, stand up for it, each and every one of us. That's why tonight I'm asking our nation to come together, unite behind the single purpose of defending our democracy regardless of your ideology.
God damn, dude.
We're all called by duty and conscience to confront extremists who put their own pursuit of power above all else. Democrats, independents, mainstream Republicans. We must be stronger, more determined, and more committed to saving American democracy than MAGA Republicans are to destroying American democracy. We, the people, will not let anyone or anything tear us apart. Today, there are dangers around us we cannot allow to prevail. We hear, you've heard it, more and more talk about violence as an acceptable political tool.
Never, sir.
In this country. It's not. It can never be an acceptable tool. So I want to say this plain and simple. There is no place for political violence in America, period. None, ever.
Sir, yes, sir.
We saw law enforcement brutally attacked on January 6th. We've seen election officials, poll workers, many of them volunteers of both parties, subject to intimidation and death threats. And can you believe it? FBI agents, just doing their job as directed, facing threats to their own lives from their own fellow citizens. On top of that, there are public figures today, yesterday, and the day before predicting and all but calling for mass violence and rioting in the streets. This is inflammatory. It's dangerous. It's against the rule of law. And we, the people, must say, this is not who we are. Ladies and gentlemen, we can't be pro-insurrectionist and pro-American. They're incompatible. We can't allow violence to be normalized in this country. It's wrong. We each have to reject political violence with all the moral clarity and conviction this nation can muster. Now, we can't let the integrity of our elections be undermined. For that, is a path to chaos. Look, I know politics can be fierce and mean and nasty in America. I get it. I believe in the give and take of politics, in disagreement and debate and dissent. We're a big, complicated country. But democracy endures only if we, the people, respect the guardrails of the republic. Only if we, the people, accept the results of free and fair elections. Only if we, the people, see politics not as total war, but mediation of our differences. Democracy cannot survive when one side believes there are only two outcomes to an election. Either they win or they were cheated. And that's where the MAGA Republicans are today. They don't understand what every patriotic American knows. You can't love your country only when you win. It's fundamental. American democracy only works only if we choose to respect the rule of law and the institutions that were set up in this chamber behind me. Only if we respect our legitimate political differences. I will not stand by and watch. I will not the will of the American people be overturned by wild conspiracy theories and baseless evidence-free claims of fraud. I will not stand by and watch elections in this country stolen by people who simply refuse to accept that they lost. I will not stand by and watch the most fundamental freedom in this country, the freedom to vote, and have your vote counted and be taken from you and the American people. Look, as your president, I will defend our democracy with every fiber of my being, and I'm asking every American to join me. Throughout our history, America has often made the greatest progress coming out of some of our darkest moments, like you're hearing that bullhorn. I believe we can and must do that again. And we are. MAGA Republicans look at America and see carnage and darkness and despair. They spread fear and lies. Lies told for profit and power. But I see a different America. An America with an unlimited future. An America that's about to take off. I hope you see it as well. Just look around. I believe we could lift America from the depths of COVID, so we passed the largest economic recovery package since Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and today America's economy is faster, stronger than any other advanced nation in the world. We have more to go. I believe we could build a better America, so we passed the biggest infrastructure investment since President Dwight D. Eisenhower. And we've now embarked on a decade of rebuilding the nation's roads, bridges, highways, ports, water systems, high-speed internet, railroads. I believe we could make America safer, so we passed the most significant gun safety law since President Clinton. I believe we could go from being the highest cost of prescriptions in the world to making prescription drugs and health care more affordable. So we passed the most significant health care reform since President Obama signed the Affordable Care Act. And I believe we could create a clean energy future and save the planet. So we passed the most important climate initiative ever, ever, ever.
Forgot the end of that line there, I reckon.
The cynics and the critics tell us nothing can get done, but they're wrong. There is not a single thing America cannot do, not a single thing beyond our capacity.
We're going to kill God, Jack.
It's never easy, but we're proving that America, no matter how long the road, progress does come. Look, I know the last few years have been tough, but today, COVID no longer controls our lives. More Americans are working than ever. Businesses are growing. Our schools are open. Millions of Americans have been lifted out of poverty. Millions of veterans once exposed to toxic burn pits will now get what they deserve for their families and their compensation. American manufacturers come alive across the heartland, and the future will be made in America. No matter what the white supremacists and the extremists say.
Hey.
I made a bet on you, the American people, and that bet is paying off, proving that from darkness, the darkness of Charlottesville, of COVID, of gun violence, of insurrection, we can see the light. Light is now visible. Light that will guide us forward, not only in words, but in actions. Actions for you, for your children, for your grandchildren, for America. Even in this moment, with all the challenges we face, I give you my word as a Biden, I've never been more optimistic about America's future. Not because of me, but because of who you are. We're going to end cancer as we know it. Mark my words. We're going to create millions of new jobs.
We're going to kill God.
A clean energy economy. We're going to think big. We're going to make the 21st century another American century, because the world needs us to. That's where we need to focus our energy. Not in the past, not on divisive culture wars, not on the politics of grievance, but on a future we can build together. The MAGA Republicans believe that for them to succeed, everyone else has to fail. They believe America is not like I believe about America. I believe America is big enough for all of us to succeed. And that is the nation we're building, a nation where no one is left behind. I ran for president because I believe we're in a battle for the soul of this nation. I still believe that to be true. I believe the soul is the breath, the life, and the essence of who we are. The soul is what makes us us. The soul of America
The
is
papal
defined
warrior.
by the sacred proposition that all are created equal in the image of God, that all are entitled to be treated with decency, dignity, and respect, that all deserve justice and a shot at lives of prosperity and consequence, and that democracy must be defended, for democracy makes all these things possible. Folks, and it's up to us. Democracy begins and will be preserved in we, the people's habits of the heart, in our character, optimism that is tested yet endures, courage that digs deep when we need it, empathy that fuels democracy, the willingness to see each other not as enemies but as fellow Americans. Look, our democracy isn't perfect. It always has been. Notwithstanding those folks you hear on the other side there, they're entitled to be outrageous. This is a democracy. But history and common sense.
That really plays into him here, because every time people would heckle Donald Trump at his speeches, he would encourage security to get them out. And Joe Biden will just point to them and go, yeah, that's their right. That's a free society, baby. That plays into him so well. I was wondering if he was going to do anything about that, except for, like, ignoring it or lightly addressing it.
Good manners is nothing they've ever suffered from. But history and common sense tell us that opportunity, liberty, and justice for all are most likely to come to pass in a democracy. We have never fully realized the aspirations of our founding, but every generation has opened those doors a little bit wider to include more people who have been excluded before. My fellow Americans, America is an idea, the most powerful idea in the history of the world, and it beats in the hearts of the people of this country. It beats in all our hearts. It unites America. It is the American creed, the idea that America guarantees that everyone be treated with dignity. It gives hate no safe harbor. It installs in everyone the belief that no matter where you start in life, there's nothing you can't achieve. That's who we are. That's what we stand for. That's what we believe. And that's precisely what we're doing. Opening doors, creating possibilities, focusing on the future. And we're only just beginning. Our task is to make our nation free and fair, just and strong, noble and whole. And this work is the work of democracy, the work of this generation. It is the work of our time, for all time. We can't afford to leave anyone on the sidelines. We need everyone to do their part. So speak up, speak out, get engaged, vote, vote, vote. And if we do our duty, in 2022
Vaush.gg/map, canvas.
Then ages still to come will say, we, all of us here, we kept the faith. We preserved democracy. We heeded our worst. We heeded not our worst instincts, but our better angels. We proved that for all its imperfections, America is still the beacon to the world, an ideal to be realized, a promise to be kept. There's nothing more important, nothing more sacred, nothing more American. That's our soul. That's who we truly are. And that's who we must always be. I have no doubt, none, that this is who we will be, and that we'll come together as a nation that will secure our democracy, that for the next 200 years, we'll have what we had the past 200 years, the greatest nation on the face of the earth. We just need to remember who we are. We are the United States of America, the United States of America. And may God protect our nation, and may God protect all those who stand watch over our democracy. God bless you all. Democracy. Thank you.
Holy shit, he didn't say God protect our troops. He said God protect our democracy. He always ends with God protect our troops. Holy shit. That was legitimately an incredible speech. Wow. I'm not used to being put in a position where I have to give so much praise to a Biden speech of all people. Wow. Okay. I'll try my best to do analysis here. All right. First of all, main thing that I'm thinking of, that tone shift is not just a primary thing. That was not the attitude of like, let's ramp up and do a couple of cool things right before the primary or the midterms. That wasn't just like a, let's titillate the voters for a couple of months, then go back to nothing right after. This is a very direct, hard shift in messaging that can't be walked away from. I mean, not sanely, at least, not reasonably. It was such a strong commitment. He entered, with the bipartisanship angle, and this was maybe literally the most aggressive and ideologically driven speech we've seen out of the Democrats in the modern day. Oh my God. Can you imagine Obama ever saying anything like any of that? No shot, no way, never in a million years. Obama never would have delivered something that ideologically driven. Oh my God. Yeah, really, really, really good stuff there. I mean, obviously, is America the best country? Blah, 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 America sucks. I know. But in the context of what's being said here, people in chat were memeing that he's seen my streams, and guys, I don't know. It did feel like, at the very least, my bedtime wishes got, the fairy listened to them. I feel validated. Oh my God, It's like prayer, It's like prayer. You may pray, and even if nobody hears you, if something that you prayed for comes true, you can feel it, Jesus. God, pointing out that democracy cannot survive on its own, that it needs to be defended, praising the democratic process as an antagonistic force relative to the Republicans, naming Charlottesville and the Capitol rioters alongside COVID, directly framing them alongside a global pandemic, talking about how they're fundamentally opposed to democracy, like as an institution, that they'll cry about losing any time they lose, that there's no way for them to feel as though they deserve the loss. They're doing that right now in Alaska, by the way. They're saying that ranked choice voting is like a cheat for Democrats or whatever. Like they'll always do this. No, this was a phenomenal speech. Wow, really, really good job. Um, not to mention, like I said, him using the heckling protesters as a way of not only indicating commitment to the theme of the speech, which was democracy, but also distinguishing himself from Trump. Really, really phenomenal stuff. God damn. This is what I mean about the head of state being a tool to power that Democrats don't use. Because Trump would go up there every other day and scream about whatever. You know, Biden, he's so quiet. But see how you feel? It's a socialist community, and even you guys are feeling it. Like, that's the power of actual advocacy. That's why it's not enough to just be a politician. You have to be an advocate. You have to proselytize for what you believe in. And you know, leaving aside any conversations to sincerity or whether or not, you know, he personally gives that much of a shit about this, or if they just hopped him up on adrenochrome and they had like a, you know, woke Tumblrite write a speech that morning. Yeah, I don't really give a shit. This is a big step forward for the Biden administration, and I am incredibly excited to see how they capitalize on it. If they do, maybe they'll do nothing at all up until the midterms roll through. That would be very disappointing. But there is a significant possibility that this is a precursor. And what better a precursor than the arrest of Donald Trump? I mean, things have been broiling up there, haven't they? With the raid in Mar-a-Lago, the documents. If they know, and if they're going to go for it, by the way, Biden would know because the DOJ is part of the executive branch. If they know, they're coming out strong ahead of time to indicate that what's happening here isn't some partisan hit. It's about an ideological commitment to democracy. I think it's notable that he didn't mention Trump at all during the speech. Seems to me like that would be a pretty effective strategy if you were, say, intending on doing something Republicans would consider to be partisan corruption, while indicating that you need to do that thing to be in line with the ideology. Yeah, he mentioned, sorry, I apologize. He did mention it once, but he didn't really address Trump as much as he could have, you know, in the speech. You know, it wasn't really about him. Sorry. So maybe it's a precursor. I don't know, man, but it's good. It's good, and I love it. Fantastic stuff. It's obvious that the Biden administration has seen all of the dark branded memes that have been going on and have kind of picked up on the fact that, you know, people would like Biden a lot more if he dropped the bipartisan bullshit and actually, like, ran as a representative. Because people who vote Democrat aren't bipartisan moderates. Democrats in America are fucking hate Trump. You guys know that, right? The average Democrat is not bipartisan. The average Democrat hates Trump, despises Trump. But then we elect these Democrat politicians who are like, oh, you know, well, we have disagreements, but we'll get along. No. And maybe this has been a wake-up call for the Biden administration. Maybe this is, you know, oh, well, hey, maybe, because while a lot of this is like cynicism, a lot of this is, you know, malicious noncompliance, I do think that a good part of it is liberals, the liberals in the DNC, they're a bunch of like 75-year-olds, you know, they're ancient, and they genuinely don't understand that we're living in a populist era. A lot of it might actually be they're not aware of the era they live in because they're completely isolated from the common will, and they keep, you know, they only win their reelection because of, you know, incumbency bias and the fact that they're still generally better than Republicans. Yeah, what year is it? What decade is it? You know, maybe this is a real step forward. God! I am particularly fond of the fact that he framed the American spirit, A, as something that lives within all of us, because, you know, I like a big melting pot, but additionally framed it as a strive for improvement rather than like a complacent acknowledgement of our supremacy. When he talked about, you know, like the American spirit, like, we still haven't lived up to the ideals of our founding, but we get a bit better every generation. Again, is it liberal rhetoric? Yeah, it is. But it's a better kind of liberal rhetoric because there are liberals who will treat this country like some unchanging democratic force. You know, where there's no threat to our democracy, that was, things were good, they've always been good, we're America, baby. An acknowledgement that this country and people, in this country, the strive to achieve what he calls the American spirit has been defined by things like the abolition of slavery, the civil rights movement. If you were going to find a way to frame American exceptionalism, that's how I want to hear it. If I'm going to listen to American exceptionalism from our president, I want to hear it framed like that, We're striving to live up to the ideas of our founding, and we get a little bit closer every time we do stuff like abolish slavery, fight for civil rights, right to gay marriage, feminist movement. Like, if those are the marking stones by which you're going to define American supremacy, then fuck it. You know what? Okay. All right. No, fine. Sure. Yeah. Why not? Oh yeah, of course the conservatives are losing their shit over this because they're now realizing that Biden represents an actual ideological opponent electorally. Already trending hashtag pedo Hitler because we're dealing with people who are mentally 5 years old. The intention behind this speech will be threefold: paint Republicans as enemies of the state. True. Signal to violent street communist violence, okay? He didn't do that, sorry. Try to provoke a violent response from the right to justify crackdowns. Wait, what? Try to provoke a violent response from the right to justify Well, if that happens, that's your fault. You can't blame... Okay, yeah. Biden's sinister plan, make us do terrorism. Okay, yeah, sure, whatever. Babies. Biden compared millions of Americans to the monsters we shot, bombed, and later hung from the gallows of World War II. The children or grandchildren of Americans who died fighting Nazis are now themselves Nazis to Biden. True! Because they vote Republican? True! Oh, man, they're getting it. They understand. It's true. We have conservative infrahas, as it is known, God, doesn't he look great here? I can't believe this screenshot is real. Insane how cool he looks here. I'm preemptively scrolling through the pedo Hitler tag, and it's exactly what you would imagine it is. Wait, that's not the tab that I clicked. I clicked on this tab. There we go. As you can imagine, it is it's largely Republican politicians and boomers on both sides infighting. You know how it is. And then for some reason, they keep posting this as if this makes Biden look bad, despite him looking like rad as hell here. I don't know. Seems kind of stupid to me personally. Yeah, look at the light shining off the white gloves of the Marine back there. God damn. God damn. Oh, this picture goes hard as oh my god. Oh, here's Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Wenn ja, des Volkes, gib du jetzt deine Stimme ab. Wenn ja,
I'm always saying
dann
this.
tritt für mich ein, so wie ich für dich eingetreten bin. Des Volkes, gib du jetzt deine Stimme ab. Wenn ja, dann tritt für mich ein, so wie ich für dich eingetreten bin.
Is this really from MTG? Yeah, of course it is. The trending tag here is pedo Hitler. We know the Republicans are monsters, and we know what their capacity for criticism is. That's not even Hitler's mustache. No, it's not. I assume it was like algorithm added. There's no way somebody could have done that manually that quickly. Also, they would have just drawn the square on instead of just superimposing a mustache over it. Yeah. I'm excited, folks. I really am. I really, really am. I've said this before. I'll say it again. There is no way out of the situation we're in right now with Republicans without a real confrontation. There just isn't. You can't. The Republicans are too bad. It's an anti-democratic fascist party. You're not going to like bipartisanship your way out of it. You're not going to smoothly, uncontroversially address this, but it needs to be addressed. Now, as for all of this, hollering from the right, I don't think this should be read as anything other than cope posting. They're afraid. No, I really mean that. I really do. I think the Republicans are... Listen, quoting noted art school dropout Adolf Hitler. You know what Adolf Hitler said about the Nazi Party? He said the only chance that his opponents might have had to destroy it would be to have done so in its infancy, to have smashed it when the Nazi Party was still a weak organization without the weight of state power behind it. A lesson learned by very few people, unfortunately, is that in order to stamp out fascism, you have to do it aggressively, early, and with overwhelming force. And I think the Republicans, nah, that. And I know the Republicans have been crossing their fingers hoping the Democrats remain as abstemious as they have up to this point. I know that for a fact. The Republican plan is predicated on the assumption that Democrats will remain weak and ineffectual and blind. And if they don't do that, if Democrats actually do use their power seriously, they could smash the Republicans into bits. And that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. I want to see that so badly. Make me a real fan of Joe Biden. Right now, I'm glad I didn't get rid of the malarkey emote. You know? Make me, in retrospect, I want the story I want to tell about who I voted for in 2020, you know? The story I want to tell is, you know, I just thought he'd be better than Trump. I didn't think he'd be that much better. That's what I want to tell people. If for no other reason than because it makes me look all the better against all those lefties who went Bernie or bust back in 2020, you know? Like, Dark Brandon is like, doing mass arrests of the fascists. And I'm just like, yeah, that's my spite-driven moment right there. You know, that's, that's my motivation. Just being an insufferable dick about it. Ah, spectacular. Fantastic stuff. We'll be hearing about this a lot in the coming weeks. Yeah, it's afraid. We need to get ourselves some people to argue with, folks. All Biden did was point out that Republicans are anti-democracy and indicate that he actually quite likes democracy. It's a pretty it's unassailable rhetorically. I'm probably going to have to watch that a couple more times off stream so that I've memorized all the passages, because I know that if I argue with conservatives over it, they're going to, like, lie about the contents of the speech or misphrase things, you know? Don't forget the lotion. Oh, baby, I won't. Yeah, these are the people we're dealing with. Nobody tired to violently overthrow an election, Mongo. If they did, the election would have been overturned. You communists don't have any idea what a violent right looks like. You've never seen it. You think you have, but that's just your mental illness. You've never seen it. That's like the right's like explicit position here is just, we haven't literally done the race war yet. Just wait. I'm pretty sure Jesse Kelly's an actual neo-Nazi though, so he's more of an explicit yeah. He's a little out there. He's a wacky boy. The right just wants the Turner Diaries? Yeah, of course. They wrote them. Nice meme, people. Jesse Kelly literally advocates against black people voting. Yeah. Did you see the Alaska House results? Yes. Trump charges aren't coming anytime soon. DOJ likely to wait past election to reveal any Trump charges. Under long-standing department policy, prosecutors are barred from taking investigative steps or filing charges for the purpose of affecting election or helping a candidate or party, traditionally 60 days before an election. This year, that'd be September 10th, which makes it unlikely anything would be announced until after November 8th. That's not a law. That's just a tradition. Also, Donald Trump isn't running in the midterms. That's this is not a guarantee. Yeah, they're just going to do it September 9th.